Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out and ultimately to just trust God every single second of every minute, of every hour, of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year. No matter what gets put on our plate or taken off our plate, we know we can trust God. That's what piecing out is all about. This is February. Next month will be our 6-year devotional anniversary. Isn't that amazing? 6 years of doing this, and I don't have a reason to stop. If y'all want me to stop, I can, but I probably won't yet. So just started it because somebody needed to speak peace, because we were going the world was going a little bit crazy in 2020, and I'm not sure that it's gotten any better. But you know what? God's peace is still here. We still have, Jesus still said, I'm leaving my peace here, and he never said he was taking it back. And I love that. Matter of fact, he never took anything back. He never said, never mind. He never said, forget it. He never said, y'all all acting crazy. Let me just forget. I'm going somewhere else. No, he always extends his grace. And that's when we can peace out, right? So this week we're going to look at some little known characters. Perhaps, I don't know past tomorrow yet, but I'm still looking. But people that have gone maybe not as noticed in our stories as we've shared them. People that don't have a name, we don't even know. We kind of skip over it as part of the story, but we just kind of skip over it. We're going to start with the story of Naaman today. And today, if I was going to title today's devotion, I would call it was just a suggestion, a simple suggestion. So if we look at 2 Kings 5, and we've talked about the story of Naaman, actually not too long ago we talked about it, but we missed a character in there. As I was doing some different studying this weekend, I came across it and I thought, we don't even know this person's name. We know Naaman, we know Gehazi, who messed up, we know Elisha, we know the king, right? We know that Naaman was married, we know that he had servants, but we don't know this person's name. And it tells us the story of Naaman, and he says he was a mighty warrior, but he had leprosy. And he was still out there doing the warrior stuff, even though he had met with some personal challenges, because leprosy was a curse of the day. It was a debilitating disease. It progressed until it basically ate away your digits and your nose and your ear. It was horrible, horrible disease to have. But he was a mighty warrior. And I loved it because it said he was a mighty warrior and he had leprosy. Not a it doesn't say he was a leper who was a mighty warrior. It said he was a mighty warrior who was suffering with leprosy. And so the Armenian soldiers, which is where Naaman was from, Armenia, right, had invaded Israel and taken some captives. And in those captives was a young girl who had been given to Naaman's wife as a maid. A young girl. We don't even know her name, but she ended up changing Naaman's life. And Naaman, as a mighty warrior over the army of the country, she influenced the entire nation by just a simple suggestion. We don't even know her name. She was taken captive. She was, quote, quote, just a slave. She was a slave, kind of like Joseph. Joseph was taken into a foreign country, and he served all those years. Now, he was betrayed by his brothers. We don't have that part of the story, but this young lady, this young girl, but she's been taken as a slave from Israel, and she's brought to Naaman's house, and she is his wife's servant. She's just a servant child. She is basically a captive slave, much like Daniel was, much like Joseph was, but we don't even know her name, right? And so we just know that she's there, and one day it says, she just says to her mistress, just a simple suggestion, I wish my master would go see the prophet, Elisha she's talking about, in Samaria. He would heal him of his leprosy. You know, she could have kept that to herself. She wasn't obligated in any way to make Naaman's life any better. She's, quote, just a slave. She's just a servant. She has no position of honor like Esther was elevated in the kingdom up all the way to queen, right? We don't know anything about her except these two little verses in the Bible. In chapter 5 of 2 Kings is all we know about this little girl. She says, one day she just says, I wish my master would go be healed by Elisha. She didn't have to wish him any good. I don't know that I would have that attitude. What a great attitude, right? I might be thinking, I wish he would just die. I don't like being here. I'd rather go home to my family. I don't like being a servant. I don't like, and that doesn't mean that he mistreated her. It doesn't say, we don't know if she was mistreated, if she was treated well, if she was just discounted. We don't know anything, but one day she said, I wish my master would go see Elisha the prophet, because Elisha will heal you. So that was it. We don't even know her name, right? And so his wife must have told Naaman, and Naaman went to the king and said, hey, it says in verse 4, Naaman told the king what the little girl from Israel had said. What repercussions from just a little casual statement from a little girl that's a slave? She has no social standing. She has no rights. She has been taken captive. She has no family. She is just there serving them. And yet she was looking out for his good. What a beautiful picture of a good character and a godly character that this young lady had towards someone she didn't owe anything to, right? And so he says what the little girl says, and then he goes to Elisha, and we know that Naaman ultimately was healed. There's so much in this story that came from that little statement from that young lady, from that young girl. It says girl, so I'm guessing it's a girl, not a lady. So I'm guessing 13, maybe 14 years old. But she changed Naaman's life. And Naaman came home healed, all right? But she also, that little statement sent Gehazi off into what he was harboring in his heart. From one little simple suggestion, all these lives were changed. Naaman goes to Elisha. Elisha doesn't even come out to meet him. Naaman gets mad, says he doesn't even come out and talk to me. He just says, go wash. He sends a messenger to tell me to go wash. He's all mad because he wanted to go to a prettier river to do the deed, right? And his men say, did he ask you something really hard? Just try it. So he goes to the Jordan, he dips, and he comes up clean, and he goes back to Elisha. Then Elisha meets him there. And Naaman's like, let me give you all these gifts. And Elisha's like, I don't want any gifts. Go be healed. And Naaman can go home. He can be the warrior he wanted to be. He can be the husband to the wife he wanted to be. Perhaps he had children he could hold now, because when you have leprosy, you can't touch anyone. It is super contagious. You can't engage in social activities. You can't just go about life as normal. You have to keep a distance from everyone, even though he wasn't under the Israeli law and the Jewish laws of the time, right? He would have had to kept his distance from the people he loved because he didn't want to give them leprosy. He could go home and live a normal life now, go back to commanding his army and being the warrior that he was, which, he's hanging in there. He shows his warrior spirit just in the fact. And then Gehazi decides he's going to steal from Naaman. And he has greed in his heart, and he goes and he says, hey, Naaman, Elisha changed his mind. He had some people come. He fabricated this elaborate story, but it was a lie, a total lie. And he goes, he had some people come and he really needs some help, so he'll take some of your stuff now. And Naaman's like, that's awesome. I'm glad to give to the man of God. And then Gehazi goes back, and Elisha says, you know what? Where did you go? And Gehazi lies again. He hasn't figured this out yet. He lies again. He goes, I didn't go anywhere. And Elisha said, I saw you. Elisha was a prophet. Who did he think he was going to hide it from, right? And Elisha says, I saw you when you went after Naaman. And I see the greed in your heart. And now you have leprosy. And your household, leprosy will never leave your household. What a horrible ending to this beautiful story of healing, right? But in this story, in this simple thing, she says, just go to the prophet and be healed. We see God's healing power. We see Elisha's just peaceful nature. We see Gehazi's greed and the leprosy that he got because of that greed is an outward symbol of what was in his heart, because that greed will eat away at your soul like leprosy eats away at your flesh. Right? It was a outward demonstration or manifestation of what was really in his heart. And we have Naaman's story, whose life is totally changed, all from a little girl, we don't even know her name, who said, God can heal you. Just go see the prophet. Just go see the prophet. God will heal you. Isn't that an amazing, simple suggestion that changed so many lives, revealed so many things, revealed hearts, changed a nation, changed Naaman's whole life, changed Gehazi's whole life from a little statement? And I'm going to say that this young lady, that we don't even know her name, maybe we'll think of a name. I might think of her name. Oh, let's see. Anyway, but this young lady had faith to change, to heal Naaman, because she said, I wish my master would go see the prophet because he would get healed. That was her faith statement of that day. If you'll go see Elisha, you'll get healed. What faith in that just a simple suggestion was just power packed with faith enough to bring that healing to Naaman. Because Naaman, when he got there, he was a little cranky. I don't want to do it this way. I don't want to do it that way. I don't know why he didn't even come out and talk to me. And I'm the captain of an army. And he didn't even come out and address me like man to man. He had all these attitudes were shown. But the faith of that little girl, go get healed. And then his men stood with him and said, look, if that prophet had told you something hard, you'd have done it. This is something simple. And Naaman went ahead and acted on that faith of that little girl, and he was healed. I want to know this little girl. I want to be like this little girl. I want to have that kind of faith that just says, if you'll just do this, God will do that. If you just do this, God will do that. If you just trust God, you will have his peace. If you just believe God, you will be saved. If you understand righteousness and what he did for you, you can walk in the power of the cross every single day. That's the kind of faith I want, making simple suggestions that changes lives, because I still believe and I stand by this word is still applicable and practical for right now, right here in 2026. And I am so thankful for that. And that's why I can peace out today. Peace out, you guys. Have a great day. I hope I said something that encouraged you today. I'll see you again tomorrow.